Welcome into No Punt Intended, presented by Club Fantasy. I am your host, Joe Zolo. It is week 11 of the fantasy football season. 2 or only 3 more weeks left in your fantasy football seasons. It is now down to crunch time at this point. Basically, if you have at least 3 wins, you're still probably lined up to steal a playoff spot. If you're at 2 wins, I'm sorry, your season's probably over. Don't be last. That's what we're here to help you with, just to not be last. Joining me, as always, Josh and Ryan, and for the first time on this show, the guy who is the biggest cheerleader and supporter on fantasy football Twitter, the one, the only, Mike Faiella. How you doing, buddy?
I'm all right. Excited to be here. How y'all doing?
We're your wake-up show for your prime time, right? Is that it?
I guess I'm opening for myself tonight, huh?
That's exactly. And
I like it.
Our first comment already from our lovely friend Lauren.
Hey, Lauren.
Giving a little hello.
Lovely friend, star of NFL Network.
Right.
Lauren.
Yes. We're glad to have given her the platform to propel herself to that point. Because, again, her last appearance was on Club Fantasy before she went on NFL Network. So
Yeah, your numbers are going to be way down from that episode, by the way. Just so you know, in case you were curious.
Yeah.
Way down, probably cut like a third.
Yeah, no, 100%. 100%.
Yeah, cool. As long as we're on the same page.
100%. Mike will be joining us for about the first 45 minutes here. We're going to get through as much stuff as we possibly can. A lot of these questions, guys, we see in the chat, we're probably going to save towards the end just so we can get through everything that we have with Mike. His show, Fantasy Football Intervention, is going to be at 8, correct? Yes, thank you. At 8 o'clock, so about an hour from now, once we wrap up, you can go check him out there. Along with his lovely group of fantasy analysts. So let's start here with a quick news and quick thoughts, as Josh likes to coin them. Drew Brees out this week and potentially a few more. He did get a second opinion from another doctor. It was essentially just reaffirming the first opinion, so it is what we think it is.
Winston, I think it came out today, didn't they say 2 weeks? At least. So.
At least 2 weeks, most likely 3. Jameis Winston expected to start, but Sean Payton said he is not announcing his starter. I would be shocked if it's Taysom Hill, but hear me out here. Taysom Hill may pop up in someone's upsides later down the road, and I will explain. Calvin Ridley, with his foot injury, he was limited in practice on Wednesday. John Brown tweaked his ankle. He was lined up. He was having a good game, and then, of course, in the fourth quarter, Bills are on a bye this week, so that shouldn't not going to affect you. Not like you're going to start John Brown anyway this week. Christian McCaffrey did not practice on Wednesday with his shoulder injury, and he's likely out against Detroit, so fire up your Mike Davis shares. Teddy Bridgewater limited in practice. Still a chance he plays on Sunday. Nick Foles is questionable for Sunday. Injury is not as bad as they originally thought. Another quarterback, Drew Lock, is considered day-to-day with his rib injury. How about another quarterback? Let's line them all up. Matt Stafford with a thumb injury, ligament tear, partial, expected to play Sunday in Carolina, and Chris Carson limited in practice on Tuesday. He's questionable Thursday against the Arizona Cardinals. That was a mouthful. That was more than we've had in a long time. But
Schefter came out today and said, do not expect Chris Carson. So if you have him, plan otherwise.
Yeah.
Looks like Hyde's going to play, though.
Yeah,
I don't know
probably.
How great you feel about that, but
I mean, do we feel good about Hyde, Homer, or DJ Dallas at this point?
Not all of them. If it were one, I'd feel great. Like we saw what DJ Dallas could do when he was by
I mean,
himself.
look at it, and they basically gave the rock to Collins last week, which I was not expecting, and he had a decent week. So
Oh yeah, Alex Collins, that guy that everyone forgot about. So man, Pete Carroll and his freaking running back carousel that he runs over there. If it's not Chris Carson, it's going to be a carousel of running backs. It's ridiculous. All right, moving into our 3 up, 3 down here. Mike, T. Higgins, you say he is the rookie wide receiver 1, and at this point, I don't really think there's any competition. He has shown out.
So what's funny about T. Higgins is I made a bet because I get drunk and I go on to shows and bad stuff happens. So I got drunk and went on my own show because I find that more polite than getting drunk and going to other people's shows. So I got drunk on my own show, and I actually bet Chase that T. Higgins would be the rookie wide receiver 1. And when I replayed the show, I realized I didn't make him choose anybody. I just gave him the whole field.
You gave him the field.
Still winning the damn bet.
Yeah.
Guaranteed. It was from week 4 on. He is absolutely killing it. Wide receiver 10 since he became a starter. Absolute stud. And my favorite thing was that everybody was touting Tyler Boyd. I heard it was his birthday. I heard that, he was guaranteed for 300 yards and 46 touchdowns on Twitter. And Higgins is the one that showed out again. Rookie wide receiver 1. Cincinnati's number 1. Top 10 dynasty asset. Absolute stud.
Yeah, and that weather was supposed to stop the deep ball, and it certainly didn't slow down Burrow and Higgins.
Nope, might have slowed down the cornerbacks, but definitely not Higgins. Yeah. That's for damn sure.
We talk about quarterbacks that struggle in wind, especially. That's why you saw a guy, one of the greatest of all time, Peyton Manning, couldn't play in the elements because his ball was not a tight spiral. Joe Burrow has a very, very tight spiral. Look at the guys. Obviously, the one that's been doing it for 20-plus years now, Brady, the reason he could play in the elements was he had a very tight spiral. That's just something to keep in mind there. DeAndre Swift, your second up. I mean, the guy's a stud when they give him the football. And Chase Claypool, you're just rounding up all the rookies at this point.
Yeah.
And Chase
I like him
Claypool.
young. Is that okay to say?
Perfect.
Of course.
Okay, cool.
No, of course.
I mean, it fits with the Twitter handle, right?
Yeah, I like him young. That's Mike's new Twitter bio. I like him young.
Only 6 minutes to get off the rails this time, but that might be a new record.
Well,
I mean, getting in. It usually is way sooner than that.
I got to be honest.
I mean, if it takes you 6 minutes to get in, you should probably just move on.
Sometimes just fuddling around. I got to be honest, though. I mean, I'm not going to take the blame. You guys invited me. You know what you were getting into.
Yep.
So let's keep rolling.
There's definitely been worse said on the show, I would have to imagine.
Well, we'll see if we can break that record.
I'm all for
we've had Stepmom Lauren on how many times now?
Yeah.
Like, the jokes just kind of make themselves.
She says there's many things she could say right now. Many things. So, love that. Ryan, your 3 ups. The Washington backfield.
Yes.
Agreed. Wayne Gallman, who, if I'm not mistaken, has been RB3 since week 9 or something.
Touchdowns, yeah.
Like, that's crazy. And then Brandon Ayuk as well. I believe he checked in for a touchdown, correct?
Yep.
Nice.
The big thing for me with Ayuk, I just want to throw out there, was a week after the Saints absolutely shut Mike Evans down, Ayuk comes out here and goes 7 for, I think, 75 and a touchdown. So it's like the Saints are so inside of Mike Evans' head. It's just absolutely ridiculous.
It's almost like someone here said, "Don't draft Mike Evans as a top 10 wide receiver." It's weird. Must be some smart guy that's talking right now. Josh, your top 3 ups here: Deontay Johnson. We get it. You picked him as a top 14 receiver. Mark Andrews, the only good part of that Ravens offense on Sunday Night Football, and DJ Moore. RIP to Linda, who said she was going to start Jarvis Landry over DJ Moore.
Poor Linda.
I mean, I should have immediately put DJ Moore in my lineup once Linda said she was sitting him. I should have immediately done that. It's the kiss of death. Yeah, no, it's the kiss of death. But no, he has owned Tampa Bay this season. I believe it was week 2. He was 8 for 106. And then this week's 4 catches, 96 yards, and a touchdown. My 3 ups, Damian Harris. He's the new RB1 in New England. Welcome to the show. DeAndre Hopkins. I am genuinely shocked that none of you had DeAndre Hopkins up there. Stephon Diggs showed why he's the league-leading receiver in yards. DeAndre Hopkins showed why he's the best receiver in the NFL. Plain and simple. Stephon Diggs makes a ridiculous touchdown grab for the Bills to go ahead, and DeAndre Hopkins is like, yeah, I'll go up in triple coverage. And it's
just a great post-game interview.
Unbelievable. And then Ronald Jones. Nice 98-yard touchdown run. Looks like he's carrying an anchor when he runs the football, but good touchdown run. 3 downs. Mike. Oh, boy, could I not agree anymore. Carson Wentz. And you also add in the play-calling blows.
Awful.
That was my analysis. Is that not how we do it? I wanted to put some stats in there.
I mean, Josh has talked about on the show. Josh, our resident Eagles fan, has talked about on the show that Wentz has been trying to force the football into situations where it doesn't need to be forced. He's trying to make a play when a play isn't there, And you already added in there, Mike, that the play calling sucks. It's that simple. Play calling's bad.
Yeah, I think the biggest issue Sunday was more the play calling than it was Wentz, just from having watched the game, because Wentz didn't have any turnovers, which was great. But again, like Miles Sanders, 15 rushes all game. That's it.
Yep.
Almost 6 yards a carry. Why are you not giving that guy the football more? It makes zero sense to me.
Oh, Josh, I agree. I'm very mad at it.
Terrible.
Very mad at it. Mike, your second down. Joshua Kelly looked good for a week and has disappeared.
Yeah, we all took the bait on that one. Like, we thought he was going to be Melvin Gordon. No.
He is actually Kalen Balage's backup. I did not see that coming.
Which is ridiculous. Can you imagine being Kalen Balage's backup when Kalen Balage wasn't even employed by your team 8 weeks ago?
Yeah, they basically said, Kelly, this is your role. Everybody else, we're just going to cycle through for Eckler's role.
Yeah.
That's basically what it's been. It's unreal.
Absolutely nuts. And then, Mike, your third down here is Sony Michel. And yes, Mike knows he didn't play last week, but in the words of Mike, he thought he couldn't get any lower, but he's been Wally piped. I don't know what pipped. Sorry. I don't know what that means.
Joe is really young.
Great.
Yeah,
Oh, sorry, Joe.
Do
Sorry,
you
so
remember
you're like
a
the people I
Yankee
like.
great by the name of Lou Gehrig?
Yes, I do remember.
Okay, well,
Lou
when
Gehrig.
he came into the Major League Baseball for the Yankees, he replaced first baseman Wally Pipp. He never got his job back because Lou
Wally
Gehrig
Pipp
was
got
that damn
hurt.
good.
Wally Pipp got hurt.
Yeah.
Garrett came in and then played some obscene amount of games in a row that I don't know.
Well,
Yeah.
Lou Gehrig's one of the greatest of all time.
Exactly.
So are we saying Damian Harris is about to
No,
be the
but
greatest
that's
running
just a
back of all
common
time?
phrase. Like when you lose your job to injury, you've been Wally Pipp.
Pipp.
Are you about to tell me that we lose the greatest quarterback of all time and then we gain the greatest running
Greatest
back
running
of all
back
time?
ever. We
Wow.
basically traded Tom Brady for Walter Payton, and I'm not upset. So I'm good with it.
Love it. Absolutely love it. All right, Ryan, your three downs. I love that you put this in here because I was going to put it if you didn't. The weather in Cleveland.
Yes.
Couldn't agree more. Absolutely hate the weather in Cleveland. Michael Thomas, non-existent. And James Conner. James Conner shocked me. I was playing against James
This is like
Conner in
2
a
straight
league.
weeks.
Yeah. I was playing against James Conner in one league, and I thought he was going to absolutely blow my team out of the water. Pedestrian week.
I just want to throw out. So, yeah, he hasn't looked good since week 7. A touchdown bailed him out in week 8. Over his last 3 games, he has 105 total rushing yards and went 12 for 36 last week, and it's his second straight week under 3 yards a carry. It's all red flags at this point for James Conner.
And he played a Bengals defense without their top defensive lineman, interior defensive lineman, and no more Carlos Dunlap. And it was Sam Hubbard's first game back from IR. Josh, your three downs. The Rams wide receiving core. Goff goes for 300 yards and can't complete a touchdown. Drew Lock, you say, how do you throw 4 interceptions against the Raiders? It's the Linda curse. I'm drafting everyone Linda says not to draft. It's the Linda curse. It is. And we love Linda. We love Linda here. But it really is the curse at this point.
And Josh didn't even include the Deshaun Hamilton fumble, so the Broncos altogether had 5 turnovers in that game. So.
Love it. Love it. And then, Josh, you have Doug Peterson, and you quote, give Miles Sanders the effing football. Echoing Mike's sentiment of the play calling has been atrocious. Myself, my three downs, apparently Echo is my Amazon Alexa in the other room is talking to me right now. I don't know what she's saying. If you guys can hear this, I apologize. But my three downs right now, this is unbelievable. This is ridiculous. I didn't even say her name.
And she's going to keep trying to repeat everything.
Jeff Bezos is listening in on my conversation. Jeff, if you're listening, can I
Give
please
me
have
money.
Yeah, can I please have a cut of your $77 billion? Please. I would love it. But my three downs, Greg Roman, you opened the game with 3 passes on 4 plays. What? Like that's absurd. And one of my buddies who's a coach that high school level, not like NFL level, but he's at the high school level, so he, understands the game more in depth. And he says, you do that to throw the team off their scent so that they'll respect the passing game as much as the run. I'm like, no, you don't. You run it down their throats.
Yeah.
When your team is that good, you run it down their throats because then you're off rhythm the whole game, and that was clearly shown in Baltimore's offense. Opposite side, Josh McDaniels. Love the play calling. Please use James White more. It is pissing me off that 28 is not being used more in this offense. Hate it. And then my third down, the Seahawks offensive line. They're betting the money line on their opposition every single week. It's unbelievable. The prop bet of team over for their opposition in terms of sacks, they bet that as well. It's incredible how bad that offensive line has looked the last few weeks. All right, into our upsides and downsides here. We're going to fly through these. Mike, you got to live up to Kira's last week at 2-2. This week, you have Alex Smith home against the Bengals in Cincinnati. Where is he? Home against the Bengals.
Yeah.
Damian Harris in Houston.
Love that
Justin
pick.
Jefferson somewhere.
Great pick.
Justin Jefferson's definitely home.
Definitely
Dallas
home.
picked Vikings on
Yeah.
Home
Home
against
against
Dallas.
Dallas.
Thank you. Home
Yep.
against Dallas.
Yeah.
Thank you. And Gerald Everett Monday night in Tampa Bay.
Yes.
Ryan, you were also 2-2 last week. You're 17, 22-1 overall.
But
You
I took
have
the
Kurt.
lead on you.
You did. Yes, you did. After my fat goose egg last week. You have Kirk Cousins at home against Dallas. Duke Johnson at home against the Patriots. CeeDee Lamb in Minnesota against the Vikings. And Hayden Hurst. That game is in New Orleans.
Yes.
Correct? In New Orleans.
Yes.
Josh, big
I
winner
just realized
last.
I forgot to update our overall
Oh,
standings.
wow.
well,
So
I have a big lead.
I took a big hit. Josh, you were
I know I
three-
forgot to update mine.
Josh, you were 3-1 last week, getting the big win here. You have Jameis Winston home against Atlanta, Antonio Gibson home against Cincinnati, Willie Snead home against Tennessee. Are you doubling down on Gibson? Right, you
I
had
am.
Gibson last week.
I am, yeah.
Josh
Well, I
is-
was going to do Harris, but I didn't want to steal Mike's thunder since he put it in first. So
I was going to do Cousins, and then Ryan took him. So I guess we're just kind of passing shit around.
Love
You
it.
we can always double up.
Yeah, we can always. double
Cousins
up.
is right.
Last
Yeah,
time I
I
bet
mean-
on Cousins, I end up with a mustache. I should probably be smart.
Oh boy.
Yeah. Josh, Willie Snead against Tennessee. That's
I love that.
That's a bold pick. And Jared Cook, who didn't catch a football last week.
yeah, he's been awful.
He'll
home
be
against
better than
Atlanta.
last week. He will be. Guarantee it.
I think so as well. Myself, I was 0-4 last week. This was tough.
Ooh.
Yeah, no, it was definitely definitely a bad week.
Yeah, that was me last week.
Yeah,
And the week before.
Yeah, and the week before, and the week before that. So, yeah, Josh really
Stop
turned it
rubbing
around.
salt in the wound, Ryan. Damn.
Well, so this week I have, and then this is obviously contingent if he plays, but Teddy Bridgewater against the Detroit Lions, DeAndre Swift in Carolina, Jacoby Myers in Houston, and I've already seen a couple questions in the chat, I think specifically on YouTube. Taysom Hill at the tight end position against Atlanta.
I do love
There's only like
all
one
of our
platform
quarterbacks.
You can start him on in tight end though.
Yeah, but ESPN is one of the most widely used
Yeah.
platforms.
I do love that all four of our quarterbacks are on my stream of the week list. So I'm liable to get something right?
I mean, at this point, right? You got
Or we'll
to
just delete the show and pretend it never happened.
hold on.
options.
Could you imagine all four of those guys shit the bed and the one guy we didn't talk about?
Have you seen my stream of the weeks? Yes, I can imagine that all four of those guys shit the bed. Quarterback is a disaster for me right now.
I agree. But so I had put in, and I'll explain my Taysom Hill reasoning. I had put in a bid for Hill, thinking nobody would even think to put in a bid for Taysom Hill. And the one guy that does it is my brother. So that really pissed me off. But
He watches the show.
yeah, well, Josh, this was this morning. We didn't have the show. This was this morning. It made me
We're
mad.
saying he's smart.
He listens to the show, so that's why he's smart. But
Welcome to the joke Josh made 5 minutes ago.
yeah, I know. Ryan, can you just let me talk about Taysom Hill? Jeez, as much as I rail this guy for being an absolute fraud of an NFL player, if Sean Payton just simply didn't list him as a quarterback, I wouldn't be mad. Just list him as a receiver. I wouldn't be mad if you listed him as a receiver. Hill is obviously an extremely versatile threat in that offense. No Drew Brees means you're going to see a lot more Taysom Hill. Whether that be in the weird-ass formations where he takes the snap and runs the football instantly, whether he's lined up as a receiver, we grade tight ends that if they hit the upside, they have to score 10 points. I'm fairly positive Taysom Hill runs one in from within 10 yards this week. That's what I'm betting on, right? And look at the tight end position. We've talked about this. It is Kelsey, Kittle, Waller. Kittle's out, so it's Kelsey and Waller. Then it goes Hawkinson, Fant, then the field. There's nobody else. So you're throwing darts at a wall, hoping you hit that bullseye with these tight ends to actually have a big week. I think the highest touchdown upside for a tight end available right now is arguably Taysom Hill.
Taysom Hill's going to throw for 220 yards and 2 touchdowns this week.
So you think he's starting over Winston?
Oh, yeah. It's going to be my favorite day on Twitter. I legitimately, you think I tweet a lot now? I will honestly be popping off like a 16-year-old girl on New Year's with her first tequila. Like, I am going to be wild. And it's going to be my favorite thing in history. And I can't wait. Like, legitimately, Taysom Hill is going to light the world on fire and never give back the starting job of the New Orleans Saints. And I'm going to love it because people are going to be so angry, and I will be in my glory days. So not only is Taysom Hill going to be a tight end one, Joe, he's going to be a quarterback one, and we're going to have the best day ever.
Hey, Mike, I know you guys focus a lot on DFS over on your show. What is his eligibility on DFS? Is he just a quarterback over there?
Just a quarterback. As far as I know, he's a quarterback
I thought on
everywhere.
FanDuel he was eligible as a tight end.
Not that I saw. Well, I can take a look again. Not that I saw earlier. If he is, he's going to my Millie. There is literally zero doubt about that.
I love that.
But I usually set the Millie Thursday morning because the Wednesday injury reports are straight garbage. So I haven't even dug in yet. But once I do, I will post it up whether we're playing Taysom Hill in the tight end. If he's eligible, hell yeah, he's going in.
Yeah, I know. For anyone who hasn't followed along with their show, they kill the daily information, him and Chase over on their show. So make sure you give them a follow.
Appreciate that.
Yeah, the DFS stuff is great with those guys. But yeah, I just, Mike, you said, I don't know if Hill starts. I really, personally, I don't think he starts, but I think it's going to be a point where he's on the field for probably 55, 60% of the snaps, some of them at quarterback, a lot of them in the Wildcat formation. So I think there's a good possibility he sees as many, if not more snaps than Jameis Winston.
I wouldn't be surprised if they try to pull this, like, college starting 2 quarterback system kind of thing where it's literally a yo-yo act between him and Winston. I would not be shocked at all.
Ready for it. And Taysom Hill is going to run through. If you picked him up in your leagues and you were fortunate enough, or if you haven't already in ESPN leagues, because I think ESPN's the only one where he's tight end eligible, go pick him up and start him in your tight end position unless you have Noah Fant, TJ Hawkinson, Travis Kelsey, or Darren Waller.
From our resident Saints fan, Cooter, lover.
Cooter.
She thinks it's 70-30 split on Winston.
I was actually going to agree with that.
see that.
I don't see him changing much of anything because Taysom's already playing too much. I think you might hit on him on the tight end upside day because he's had 10 points already. And I do see them probably attempting to utilize him more, but I am definitely not Mike's confidence level that he's going to play so much quarterback. But I easily already this week, my most asked questions are about Taysom Hill. So I'm glad you guys dug into this because I haven't known what to say to people yet. I have not followed the Saints close enough to know what they're going to do here. And it's a big confusing world.
So what I did, we were talking earlier before the show about my Twitter notifications and how they tend to get a little out of control. Cooter's about to find out on Sunday because I'm tagging her in every single Taysom Hill tweet when I pop off. It's going to be at Cooter. Taysom Hill's my favorite. There's going to be Photoshops. There's going to be memes. I might do a TikTok about this dude. We're going to go wild when Taysom Hill wrecks Twitter, and it's my favorite day ever. So, Cooter, I know you're going to be watching the game. She's a huge Saints fan. When you're done with the game, you will have 746 Twitter notifications. You're welcome.
Wow. I personally think Taysom Hill is not a great quarterback. He's just a really good weapon. And that's why I have him at this point. Like, Hill was already playing too much with Drew Brees at quarterback, right?
Yes.
Now Brees is out. What is going to stop Sean Payton from utilizing him that much more?
Last year's QB5 in fantasy. That's what's going to stop him.
Oh yeah. Oh yes. The ESPN 30 for 30 special that is Jameis Winston.
Yes.
Let's put the over under here. If Jameis Winston starts the rest of the season for the Saints, we're looking at that's 6 games. I set his line over under of interceptions at 15, and I'll take the over. Like 1,000%. He will throw 15 interceptions over the next 6 or 7 games.
I'll take the under by a mile. I think a lot of his interceptions were Tampa's wide receivers. I think that whiny baby Brady is showing that. He is literally losing his mind every time he throws a pass. I've never seen Brady miss by more yardage than he has in Tampa because they're not good route runners. You can talk about the athletics that you have with Godwin and Evans. They are not good route runners. They are not good at anticipating. They're not good on the option routes. I think a lot of times they just hung Winston out to dry. I think you're going to see a little bit tighter if he does play, and I will put the interceptions at 11. He's still going to throw some because it's
I'll
Jameis.
say 11.
Yeah, but he had
very
LASIK.
high.
Come on now, he can see finally.
Oh yes, couldn't see the pass rushers that were right in his face, and didn't try and escape the pocket. So, but a couple guys to talk about here. I know all of you kind of rejoiced when I said Mike's upside wide receiver pick is Justin Jefferson. I'm gonna assume
It's a great
here.
matchup.
Oh no, it's a fantastic matchup against the worst defense historically in NFL history, the Dallas Cowboys. He's probably not going to see Trayvon Diggs. That's going to be
Well,
Adam.
Diggs is out 4 to 6 weeks, so
Yeah.
you're right. He's not
so-
going to see Trayvon Diggs.
Great, fantastic. Is Chidobe Awuzie healthy? Because
I don't know.
he would be.
He wasn't on the injury report when I read it this morning.
Okay, so he's going to be the guy that will match up against Thielen or Jefferson. Chidobe Awuzie sucks.
Yep.
Terrible.
Cowboys
So-
have allowed 20 touchdowns to wide receivers this year. That is tied for third most in the NFL. By the way, Adam Thielen is tied for the league lead among wide receivers in touchdown receptions. They're both going off this week.
I say
no
on a
doubt.
per game basis, Dallas is also tied for the most with Minnesota. So that's
Yeah.
why I think that game is just going to be a shootout.
Yeah, but
And-
here's the key factor is one of the teams has Dalvin Cook, Kirk Cousins. Adam
Oh, we'll
Thielen,
get to
and
Dalvin
Justin
Cook in a
hold,
bit.
hold on. Kirk Cousins at home, not in prime time, averages 3 touchdowns a game this year.
Oh yeah, no. I'm Mike. I'm not slighting him at all. I'm saying that Kirk Cousins is the better quarterback compared to Andrew Dalton, who can't hit the
no
broadside of a barn.
Yeah.
Or
standing-
Gilbert or Nooch or whoever the hell they're gonna
Listen, if I'm the Cowboys, I'm starting Garrett Gilbert. I'm sorry, Garrett Gilbert gave that team the only glimmer of hope they've had since Dak's injury. In no way, shape, or form does Andy Dalton take
Hey, if
away
Dalton
the job.
sucks again this week, we might see Gilbert.
Great. Why would you even risk the chance of
Dalton
Andy
sucks
Dalton
again this
sucking?
week. We might
They're
see
tanking
Dak
for
Prescott
Trevor.
back.
Don't you know that, Joe?
If
Oh, man.
they're not going to take for Trevor because the Jets are going 0-16. That's final. That is final.
I'm going to throw another sports reference Joe won't know. Dak Prescott's going to Willis Reed this thing and come back onto the
I
field.
like it. I was thinking Paul Pierce when he got carried off.
yeah.
He had to take a shit.
I know
Yeah.
that one. I know that one. Also, hold on. I love Paul Pierce. I will defend Paul Pierce to the day I die. He was being very overdramatic in that injury. He was not injured. Are you kidding me?
Well, that's
Guy,
just the
that
NBA.
guy acted like he tore both of his ACLs and suffered a major concussion and then walked out of the locker room 5 minutes later. Come on, Paul. Love you, but that was a BS injury that he suffered there. But another quick one that I want to talk about before we head into the downsides. Ryan, convince me to put CeeDee Lamb in my starting lineup with Andy Dalton starting a quarterback. Convince me, because I'm not doing it currently. I want you to convince me.
Dalton played one full game. Lamb was targeted 11 times in that game. Minnesota gives up the number 5 points to fantasy wide receivers. I think we are down on Lamb because these other guys were spreading the ball around. Dalton was not spreading the ball around when he was in there. Lamb was targeted 3 times in the game where Dalton came in and played just the quarter when Dak got hurt, 11 times in the next game. I didn't look in the game where Dalton got hurt, but I imagine it was probably 3 times there as well. Dalton knows who his slot guy is. Dalton is going to look for the quick release. No one in Minnesota is going to be able to cover Lamb. I understand Amari Cooper has looked like the best wide receiver in Dallas this season, but at the beginning of the season, every one of us would say Lamb was the best wide receiver. I think this week with a quarterback who's going to feed him against a terrible defense, he's going to show it.
And let's not forget the last 2 years when Andy Dalton was in Cincinnati, Tyler Boyd running out of the slot topped 1,000 yards.
Yep.
So, I mean, obviously he likes throwing slot receivers. I don't hate that. I mean, you look at last week too, or Monday night, excuse me. Minnesota's top 4 starting corners were out.
Yeah.
Yep.
And Nick Foles still couldn't take advantage.
Because Nick Foles sucks.
Yeah. Yep. Nope, that's a fact. And like we understand he's injured people.
Still trash.
Now he is.
Yeah. Might be the best thing for his
Look,
career.
I will forever be grateful to Nick Foles, but he's not a great
Good.
NFL quarterback.
He's not good. All right, Ryan, you've convinced me. I'm putting CeeDee Lamb in my starting lineup over Chase Edmonds.
I plugged him into every one of my lineups where I held on to him. This is his week of redemption.
You've convinced me. He's in my starting lineup, and if I lose because of you,
by the way, your great advice caused my son to lose by half a point. So thanks, guys.
I was just going to ask you that.
Wait,
How did
half
that
a
turn
point?
out?
Yep. If he would have started either of the 2 guys instead that you guys had mentioned, he would have
Yeah, we
won the
were
game.
pretty unanimous too. It was on Kirk, and who was the other one?
Christian Kirk over Darius Slayton, and you guys had him start. And this, I told him your advice was in line with my rankings. You had him start Ebron over Tunyon. So
Okay.
freaking Tunyon.
All the tight ends last week.
yeah, and like I said, he told me he's never watching our show again. Keep in mind, he's never watched our show before.
Yeah.
Mike, just so you're aware, my son is 11. This is the first year I got him into a fantasy league. He was in first place until this week. I was in last place. I wasn't allowed to give him advice because we were playing each other for the first time, and I beat him. Yeah.
Half a point? Seriously?
Half a point. He was
Damn.
livid.
That's a
Tell,
hard
tell him
I'd
not
be
to
so
watch
mad,
the
too.
Claypool touchdown at the end of the game. Tell him not to watch that replay because Ebron was open on the corner route and he was the primary option.
Claypool's breakout game was my first week picking Ebron as my stream of the week tight end, and I'm like, every one of those passes could have went to Ebron. So Claypool is 100% the tight end that we thought Ebron was going to be. So.
Absolutely.
I didn't look to see who the tight end ones were in our upside tight ends. Pharaoh Brown.
I think we all missed, man. Like it was.
Oh no,
bad.
we all missed because it's Gronk, Mark Andrews, Hunter Henry, Cameron Brate, Jordan Reed, Logan Thomas, Pharaoh Brown, and Richard Rodgers were the only tight ends to top double.
Yeah, there was
points.
8. That was it. Yeah, I think Ryan had Jordan Reed, so I think he was the only one that actually got a win last week.
How about this, Lauren? If you're still listening, Colin Thompson has as many touchdowns as Ian Thomas does in a Carolina Panthers uniform at the tight end position so far this year.
Damn, that's hurtful.
Colin Thompson.
In his first game being active.
Yes, first game being active, first NFL touch
Yep.
is a touchdown. Love it. Absolutely love it. All right, to our downsides here. I know we only got about 15 minutes left with Mike. Mike, your downsides. Oh, and I love this because these 2 idiots have had him as an upside 2 of the previous 3 weeks, and they missed both times. Mike, they didn't listen to me.
By 2 points. 1
Yes.
interception.
If my aunt had balls, she'd be my uncle, Ryan. Doesn't matter. Your son lost by 0.5. Those 2 points could have helped him. That's all I'm saying. Cam Newton against Houston. Thank you for putting him there. You have Josh Jacobs. That game is I'm blanking on who they're
It's
playing.
the Chiefs.
Home against Kansas City, thank you.
Yep.
Cooper Kupp in Tampa Bay on Monday Night Football, and Austin Hooper home against the Philadelphia Eagles. Ryan, 1-3 last week. You have Ryan Tannehill home against the Ravens in Baltimore. I believe that's in Baltimore. Oh, this is painful to see. Jonathan Taylor home against arguably the worst run defense
God,
in the
that's
NFL.
such a smash matchup, too.
And that's why he's my downside, is because everyone's going to try to redeem themselves this week.
Yeah.
And I was like, you know what? I don't think he's going to do it.
I feel you. I feel you on that. You have Mike's rookie wide receiver 1, T. Higgins.
I was going to say, I read the show notes as I'm putting my shit in, and I was like, oh, God, this is not going to go over well.
Nope. T. Higgins in Washington.
At Washington, yeah.
And Mike Gesicki, who is in Denver. In
I said
Mile
that
High.
was my
Hold on.
that's my freebie.
How down can he be? I mean, he's the worst tight end in football.
I
He's the
said that
number
was my
3 in
freebie.
Miami.
He's still rostered in like over 50% of leagues, so I'm just taking the
I didn't know
freebie
that
this
was an
week.
option. Put Ian Thomas in
Yeah,
Didn't even play the most snaps at tight end last week. Durham Smythe outplayed him in snaps.
I have literally Gesicki Truthers Tears have been like the gas to my Twitter handle. I love it. Every time I'm like, "Where's your breakout now, friends?" And they get pissed, and it's fun. Gesicki sucks. Good call.
No, Mike. When they made it a competition, I was like, I got to just sneak in a freebie when I can get one now and then.
Yeah,
I like it.
And, the worst part is when we do that and we lose.
It's wrong. Yep.
I want to throw this out into the world here. If you're a fan of betting, you're a fan of prop bets. Durham Smythe to score a touchdown in a Dolphins game is normally like above plus 1,000. So you could bet $10 and win 100 if he just scores a touchdown at any point in the game. If you want to bet he scores the first touchdown, it's normally at like plus 2,500.
Wow.
I would in the past 4 weeks he scored 2 touchdowns. I would continue the rest of the season. Just throw $10 on Durham Smythe to score a touchdown in the game. Because I'm doing it. I am very much doing that. Throw $10 because
Tua's been looking at the backups. Even Shaheen's gotten in on the action.
That's exactly
We're seeing
my
that
point.
so much in the NFL this year too, where they're every team is running out these 3 tight end sets, and the other guys are the ones who are scoring the touchdowns.
Yeah. And into Josh's downside. Josh, you were 2-2 last week. You have Deshaun Watson home against the Patriots. Dalvin Cook in Dallas. No, that's not in Dallas. That's home against Dallas. Yeah. Jarvis Landry home against Philadelphia, and Trey Burton home against the Green Bay Packers. Myself, I was 1-2-1 last week. Was Irv Smith my tie? I assume he didn't play.
Yeah,
Irv Smith was my tie, so Irv Smith didn't play. My downsides: Tua Tagovailoa in Denver, James Robinson home against Pittsburgh. Every single Philadelphia Eagles receiver in Cleveland. I literally mean all of them.
Well, we're going to see how you work this graphic.
All of them. Every single one of them. And Robert Tonyan, excuse me.
Jesus, man.
I don't care. I don't care at this point. In Indianapolis. All right, before we get into talking about ours, I want to get to Mike's here because I know we only got a few minutes left with him.
And I would love to hear Mike talk about Cooper Kupp because I was doing my projections this morning and I was just so on the fence because I think I know some of the points you're going to bring up, but I'd love to hear your reasoning there.
Sure. So if we want to go over Cooper Kupp, I mean, one of the things about Cooper Kupp that I think everyone looks at the total fantasy points and not the fact that he is legitimately the most inefficient wide receiver, not only on the team, but possibly in the NFL. Nobody does less with more targets than Cooper Kupp. It took him 20 targets to get to his 100-yard game that he's gotten, and he hasn't bounced back since. They've been looking a lot more at Josh Reynolds. He's just a guy that I think realistically what I always look for with these ups and downsides are people that are holding on by a thread because of name value. He's hobbled. He is literally, since the Buffalo game, hasn't put up a stat line that I would say, hey, this is a guy that I'm looking at starting. I mean, this is somebody that he is completely living off of it. I guess I'd call it the Aaron Rodgers corollary, where he lives off of the season-long numbers without being consistent. It becomes that kind of, you're almost fighting a ghost trying to pick when he's going to go off and when he's not. I mean, 2 touchdowns on the season. It's just not somebody that I can trust. And it's somebody that I know I put him in there specifically because, number one, it's not someone I'm ever going to trust. But number 2, it's somebody that people are still looking at as a wide receiver 1. So my whole goal was, who can I tell you is a name? Cam Newton's in the top 8 quarterbacks in ESPN because he's a name. He can't throw the dang football. He's not even running since we had COVID. And Cooper Kupp's that guy for me that I just don't see him being somebody that I'm ever comfortable putting in my lineup. And given the fact that we're so close to the trade deadline, I wanted to throw him in there because he's somebody you will get a return on much higher than he is worth. He's someone that I'm selling as quickly as possible before people start realizing he's just not a guy you can trust.
It's interesting that you mentioned that. Sorry, Ryan, I didn't mean to cut you off. Because last year when we did our trade deadline show with Lauren, that was a name that was brought up too. And again, it was kind of struggled. You know, he had that's also when they started moving towards the 2 tight end sets.
So that's what I was going to say.
Last week. Yep. It was Reynolds and Woods because they run on the outside.
He only played 53% of the snaps last week, and that's the exact point I was going to make. Is the thing that scares me about that It's the week after their bye, which means they installed that in a bye week, knowing they were going to come out and do that, meaning it happened at the halfway point last year. Are they about to freeze this guy out of their own offense again? And it's so funny you brought that up, Mike. There is a day trader article we do with the fantasy footballers. He was the first name I wrote up in my cells for this last week. I'm like, get rid of him. If your trade deadline has not passed, move him immediately. So,
Perfect.
yep.
Right on the same page.
Yeah, we talked, Josh, we talked about it last year is because Brandon Cooks went down with that injury in the second half of the season. Cup was the one. And I remember my reasoning was Cup didn't get the attention through the first 8 weeks of the season. He's going to get the attention the back half. In looking back at 2019, for the first 8 weeks, he had 5 games of 10 or more targets. The rest of the season, he had 2.
Yep.
Went down. Very, very hard down.
The sad part is the Rams just paid this guy.
Yep.
Of any
Josh.
organization in the NFL, they like to
They're
waste more money
dumb.
than any of them. It's unreal to me.
Jared Goff, Todd Gurley, Cooper Kupp. I like Robert
They
Woods.
paid
not
Brandon
gonna
Cooks
slander him.
too.
Oh, yeah, Brandon
had to
Cooks.
move him.
The only one that deserves their money is Aaron Donald. Jalen
Yep.
Ramsey doesn't even deserve his money.
So-
Overrated.
So let me go ahead and because we're talking trades, we've said this name 3 times now. Trade Cooper Kupp for Brandon Cooks, and you will be winning. You'll get something
about it.
extra for him, but if you trade Cooper Kupp for Brandon Cooks, you are getting the better wide receiver in the deal. You're getting more guaranteed targets. You're getting a more explosive player, and you're getting somebody on a better offense. Literally, that is a deal that if someone said, I will give you Cooper Kupp plus your backup quarterback, a kicker for your bye week, I don't care. Make it look like you're helping somebody else out by asking for a 2-for-1. But believe me, Brandon Cooks is the better wide receiver in fantasy.
Agreed.
I don't disagree with that at all.
And if you want to gamble, you could probably get him to throw Jonathan Taylor in and just see what the hell happens.
Go
the
for
rest
it.
of the year.
Free roll, right?
Why not? I don't disagree with that at all. But yeah, I think Cooper Kupp has solid skill. I just think he needs to be put in the right position, and Jared Goff's not the quarterback for him, and Sean McVay's not the coach for him.
And the game just has to go the perfect way for them to utilize the right role for him. Like it has to be the perfect storm for him to succeed. And that's not what you want out of a fantasy football wide receiver, especially not a wide receiver 1.
Yeah, someone that was being drafted as a wide receiver 1, a guy who was being drafted ahead of Robert Woods, who we all on this show said, do not take Cooper Kupp over Robert Woods. You will regret it.
Mm-hmm.
Plain and simple. Robert Woods is the wide receiver 1 in that offense. All right, Mike, we want to let you go here because we know you got to get ready for your upcoming show in about little over 15 minutes from now. But thanks for joining us for 45 minutes, being a little warm up.
Yep.
Oh, man, this was awesome. I follow you guys. I watch the show every time before I go live because we don't have our shit together until 7:57 usually. So I catch most of it. But yeah, honestly, I love coming on, love watching your shows. It was funny. My girlfriend asked who I was going on with. I'm like the guys we watch every Saturday because you guys are always on in the background.
Thanks,
so, believe me,
Appreciate
the
it.
pleasure's all mine. Hopefully, can come back again. Loved hanging out with you guys.
Oh,
Oh yeah, man.
Anytime.
Maybe one Saturday we'll bring you on. You can answer.
That will
some
get you on the
questions.
Saturday show.
Yeah,
I love it. Perfect.
anytime. All right, thank you, Mike, guys.
Have a good
We're
show,
gonna-
Mike. Thank you.
Yes, have a
Take
good
care,
show.
brother.
Go check out Mike's show once we're done here. We should wrap up around 8 p.m. So after that, be sure to go check out Mike. Thank you again, sir. We'll see you in a little bit.
Thanks,
Take it
guys.
easy, Mike.
Catch you soon. Bye for now.
Awesome. All right, so we're going to still wrap up here. And what I want to do is all of you have been patiently waiting in the chat
Yeah, let's jump through
for
there.
all of these questions. So let's fly through these questions, gents, here. Keegan, if you answered this question, but for the general populace here, Todd Gurley, DJ Moore, or Jacoby Myers at the flex position. If it's standard, DJ Moore. If it's PPR, Myers.
Yeah,
That's kinda
Todd,
where I went,
not
yeah.
Todd Gurley is the right answer, avoiding
Yeah.
him at all costs. I'm probably leaning DJ Moore, though. My favorite stat you might have saw me tweet out, Jacoby Myers, on top of throwing a touchdown pass, was the only New England wide receiver target in the game last week. So
Yeah, it's ridiculous. And I said it here in my Jacoby Myers upside pick. The offense runs through number 16 and number 37.
Yep.
Jacoby Myers has half the amount of passing touchdowns that Cam Newton has on the season. Run
Yeah,
that
I
through
think
your head.
Moore is definitely the upside play.
Myers is the safer.
I
play.
think Myers is definitely the safer play.
Correct.
If you want to look at it that way.
Yeah, and that's why I say in standard, DJ Moore is a higher touchdown upside, and it's not even close.
Yeah, I think he even has a higher yardage upside too,
Probably
just because of the big playability.
And Damian Harris is probably going to get the ball 20-plus times again.
Yeah.
And
The biggest thing for
100.
me with Moore, if Teddy Bridgewater doesn't play, I would not trust Moore with either PJ Walker or Will Grier. Personally,
William Greer. Yeah, no, it's gonna be if it's Will Greer, that sucks.
I say Moore or Walker's been the one who's been coming in the game.
Yeah.
So I imagine it would be him. It sounds like it's going to be Bridgewater though.
I think Bridgewater will be okay for the game.
But you're also going to see a lot of quick routes there because it's an MCL injury, so he's going to want to get rid of that ball quick, and that could benefit Moore as well.
Especially his yardage after the catchability.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, I would argue, and Curtis Samuel's on the team, so this may be tough.
That's a very good point.
But Moore is probably the most electric player with the ball in his hands on that team. Curtis Samuel being like 1B to DJ Moore. From our buddy Sean, who has been waiting patiently, we always appreciate you, Sean.
Yeah.
He's very confident in starting Hunt, Chubb, and Josh Jacobs. And what 2 wide receivers of these would you start? It's a half-point PPR. Terry McLaurin against Cincinnati, Tyler Boyd in Washington, Robert Woods in Tampa Bay, Kenny G in Carolina, and Jamison Crowder. That's in Los Angeles against the Chargers.
Yeah.
Well, I think if Crowder plays, I think that's a solid.
Yeah,
play.
McLaurin's a starter, no matter what.
McLaurin's across the board. We need to get to a point now where we stop questioning if we start Terry McLaurin.
Yeah,
Terry McLaurin is a top 5 wide receiver every single week. You do not bench Terry McLaurin at any point.
He's matchup proof. He legitimately is matchup proof. So,
yeah,
yes.
and Alex Smith the last 2 games, the only back-to-back 300-yard passing games he's ever had in his career.
Yep.
Like going back to college. Like that's unbelievable to me.
They need to throw to stay in the game. That's the issue.
No, this is true.
But Terry McLaurin, no doubt there.
If Galladay's healthy, I'm playing Galladay, even over Crowder, just because I don't know exactly what the.
My issue with Galladay is Stafford's thumb injury.
Now you're dealing with a Galladay injury and a Stafford injury.
Yeah, that's where I think I would probably pivot to either Crowder or Boyd. And with Crowder's injury history, I would trust Boyd a little bit more. I know the matchup is tough. Washington's been good against wide receivers, but they've also been had too.
So my question with Robert Woods, because you guys follow this way closer than me with matchups. Tampa Bay's corner, is it Carlton Davis?
Correct.
Overrated.
Is he going to follow Woods?
No.
I don't think they don't shadow. They don't shadow.
Jamal
Jamal Dean's actually, according to Pro Football Focus, has been one of the better corners in coverage. But I think a lot of that too is he's going against number 2 wide receivers. So I think
when I did my initial projections, it seems like usually 1 wide receiver has a good day against Tampa Bay. And this is why I was asking Mike, because I thought it would be Kupp because of Carlton Davis. But with everything we've just said about Kupp, I was going to say, I'm starting to think now. No, I'm saying Kupp would avoid him the whole time. So I thought he would have the good day. But now with everything we've been saying about Kupp, I'm like, maybe Woods is going to have the good day. I feel like one of them's
could be. I mean, and really, I think it's just going to boil down to what formations are they going to run? Yeah. Like, are they going to bring in,
are they going back to 12 personnel?
6th blocker? Are they going to run that 12 personnel to keep a 6th guy on the line? Like, Tampa's got a good pass rush. They might need it, especially with Whitworth out.
I just want to butt in here real quick and talk about advanced analytics real quick. Quarterbacks with an elite grade, this is what a 90 or above overall grade is considered elite to Pro Football Focus. In the second half of games, number 1 is Aaron Rodgers at a 92.3. Number 2 is Cam Newton at a 90.5. I cannot scream to the heavens loud enough that Pro Football Focus and advanced analytics are bullshit, because everyone can look at Cam Newton and say, you're bad.
Yeah.
Second rated quarterback in the second half of games.
Second half.
Yeah.
Josh, any
He's
half.
my second half upside quarterback.
Oh, God. It's ridiculous. Jamel Dean is one of the highest rated corners from Pro Football
Focus. I didn't say I agreed with it. I was just pointing it out.
He's garbage. Desmond King was the highest rated slot corner. He was just traded for a 6th round draft pick. Pro Football Focus is bullshit when it comes to that. Advanced analytics sucks. Say it enough. I'm going to say it again. Thank you,
All right,
Ryan.
back to your corners.
Next question. I wasn't even arguing with Josh. I was arguing with the ether. It was just with the world. It wasn't even with anybody, but thank you for the
I
bell.
would say in terms of Rams wide receivers, Reynolds probably does have the most upside the way that he's being targeted this week.
I would say Woods.
Woods probably has the safest floor.
So just answering the
Sure.
question, you need to put McLaurin in, and then we
Go
all
Boyd.
disagree on who
Go
your second
Boyd.
wide receiver. See, I say
Go
not Boyd. I would go Woods over Boyd. So
Okay. Next question. Sean,
Yes.
pick your poison, Sean. You can ask us again on Saturday. Maybe we'll change our minds.
yeah, maybe I'll find something out.
Half point PPR as well for Sean. Pick 2 of these 3 to play this week. Mike Davis, Antonio Gibson, James Robinson. 1, 2, 3. Sit James Robinson.
Bench James Robinson.
Yeah. I don't love
That's
it,
an easy one.
but the receptions lately have just been killer.
Yeah.
With Jake Luton at quarterback, he's been targeted I think 7 times total and only has 2 catches for 3 yards. And both of those catches and yards came last week. Like they're not looking at him on checkdowns. The Steelers can be had as a run defense, but I think the matchups with Davis and Gibson are just too good to pass
I
up.
say they even started bringing in Dare Ogunbowale in the passing game with Thompson going on the IR.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and he dropped the football on his first
Yeah.
target, I
Yeah, it
believe.
really just
So-
caps Robinson's upside, sadly.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's Pittsburgh's run defense is nasty.
Yeah.
So,
Davis and
stay
Gibson
away.
are your surefire. Davis statted out as a top 5 RB for me this week.
yeah, easy. And then Sean, I'm just going to quickly repeat. He asked what the stance is on Taysom Hill for anyone that joined late. I'm big on Taysom Hill. If you're in an ESPN league, he is eligible to start as a tight end. Do not pick him up to start at quarterback.
But any of those guys you mentioned, I would start Hill over because he has the exact same upside as any of them, if not higher. So
Exactly. Very, very true there. Okay, as we are still I'm trying to find all these questions in here. Okay, Sam, he traded Calvin Ridley, Antonio Brown, David Montgomery, and Jonathan Taylor for Christian McCaffrey and
Jesus.
T. Higgins. It's in a redraft. Who won that trade? So let's stat it out here. You trade Calvin Ridley for Christian McCaffrey. You trade Antonio Brown for T. Higgins, and Montgomery and Jonathan Taylor were throw-ins. I think... Oh, God. I want to say the McCaffrey side wins, but damn, is Calvin Ridley good.
well, here's where I would say the McCaffrey side wins. You're not you got rid of a wide receiver you can start every week in Ridley. You picked up a wide receiver you can start every week in Higgins.
Correct.
Not one of those running backs can you start every week. Obviously, a healthy CMC.
You're never
I mean,
He's averaging 30 points a game.
McCaffrey might score more points than Jonathan Taylor this week, and he's not playing.
Wow, bold pick.
Damn,
strategy.
Ryan.
You want to do a water bet on that?
No, not even a little bit. I'm trying to neg Jonathan
That's
Taylor
true.
into actually being good again.
Dude, oh God, I wish. Ryan, I'm playing you in our Dynasty League. I want Jonathan Taylor to slap the Green Bay Packers.
What's funny is I'll take the L with the biggest smile on my face. So I hope it happens.
Slap.
We'll see what happens.
Hey,
No, I'm
it's
fine with the trade. Any trade where you're getting CMC, especially I assume if you're making this trade, you're in a playoff hunt.
Yeah.
That's the team you want going into the playoffs.
Yeah,
is T.
that's kind of
Higgins
what
and
I
CMC.
told Sam. I said if you've already got a playoff spot locked up, absolutely you get
'Cause
CMC. In
we
the trade.
touched on
Okay.
this. We touched on this, I think, on our Dynasty show. The Bengals actually have the best schedule for wide receivers in the playoffs. So.
Yeah. Yep. No, very true. And I'll look it up while we're
Joe, real
talking
quick, you
here.
passed on this one. I know there's not like any direct players involved, but I figured this is a good question for Ryan.
Go grab
over on
Logan
Facebook.
Thomas. He's a guy
There
I've
you go.
been talking about. We're going to touch on him here in a few minutes for my stream of the week. I think he feasts this week. I think this is my notes for Logan Thomas simply say this. They throw to Terry McLaurin. If he's not open, they throw to J.D. McKissick. If he's not open, they throw to Logan Thomas. Those are the only 3 players that are worth being targeted in that offense.
So
I think
Thomas is one of my plays this week. Since week 6, he's tight end 7.
Yep.
And of all the tight ends in the NFL, Logan Thomas leads in the number of routes run this season. So take that for what you will. The Bengals also allow the second most fantasy points to tight end. So those routes should turn into some production at this point.
T. Higgins, since being put in the starting lineup, has never scored less than 10 points. In his fantasy schedule for the playoffs is Dallas, Pittsburgh, and Houston in that order, and he just put up 7 catches for 115 yards and a touchdown against Pittsburgh. So if that gives you any indication, Yeah, T. Higgins is pretty damn good.
Yeah, it's a great trade.
Yeah, I traded my second round pick for Cortland Sutton, and it would have been either Cortland Sutton or T. Higgins. So I'm going to need Cortland Sutton to come off injury and be Randy Moss, essentially, or I'm going to really regret that trade. But next one over here from Michigan legend over on YouTube, Adam Thielen and Duke Johnson for Julio Jones. Interesting.
I mean, with David going
I'd
to
rather have
IR,
Julio.
I think I'd hold on to the twofer on that one. I don't know.
I think
Duke has been very underwhelming, and that pains me to say.
yeah.
I mean, it's been one game
2 games.
as the starter, one though, right?
No, it's been 2 games.
Has it really? Okay, then he's been very underwhelming because I don't even remember the first game. So
Yeah, I mean, the first game he was RB10, but it was like it was carried by a touchdown because he averaged less than 3 yards a carry. Last week he only had 5 points.
and then you're going to have 2 more weeks from now David Johnson back, so he's
Yeah.
worth nothing. So essentially, it's would you trade Adam Thielen straight up for Julio
And I'd
Jones?
rather have Julio.
Yeah, you're right. So.
Yeah, I'd rather have Julio. Over also on YouTube, Greenlight Eckler for Allen Robinson in the PPR. He says he has A-Rob, so he'd be on the receiving end of Austin Eckler.
I'd rather have A-Rob.
I'm keeping Allen Robinson.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I
You
understand.
don't know
it.
if Eckler's even going to play this year.
5 days ago, he said he was close to returning, but that's not his decision to make. The team made an investment in him. They're not going to run him out there on a season that's lost. So.
7. Yeah.
Yeah.
They're,
Yeah, they're not.
it's the
gonna
Kalen
win.
Balazs show the rest of the year, guys.
That's
And
right.
It's a sad thing to say.
No,
Speaking-
Justin Jackson will take that job back in 2 weeks.
God,
Do not buy into the Kalen Balazs bullshit.
Speaking of Kalen Balazs' bullshit, Steven, thanks for joining over on YouTube. He needs 2 and a flex, full PPR, DJ Chark, Christian Kirk, Carlos Hyde on Thursday night, Kalen Balazs, and James Robinson. I would
Well, you're starting the 2 wide receivers right off the top, right? Because Kirk's going against Seattle, and we know what that's all about. So,
Yeah.
Yeah, and he already burned Seattle, and then Chark's going against Pittsburgh.
and while Luton hasn't looked good, Chark is still seeing the volume, and in PPR,
Yeah.
I'm not going to give that up.
It is painful to say, but Kalen Balazs
Yeah.
would be my pick. And Brian,
So here-
I know that's your pick as well. Deep down, you don't want to say it, but I know in your heart of hearts that it's Kalen Balazs.
Here's my one counteraction to Kalen Balazs. Just like with Alex Collins, where they came out and said, they trusted Alex Collins. They've already said they trust Carlos Hyde this week. So I think this could be a heavy Carlos Hyde week. But then again, he's still questionable in the games tomorrow, so I don't love that. So yes, Kalen fucking Balazs.
None of us want to say Kalen Balazs. Let's get that straight up now.
Yeah,
We don't
he's definitely one that I would start out of that bunch.
Correct.
And that's sad to say. I mean, I don't think Robinson has a ton of upside.
his floor isn't even that
But
good
it-
this week.
Yeah.
It's Pittsburgh. He's not going to play well. His offensive line isn't dominant enough to play well, and he's not getting the receptions. James Robinson's not going to
Sharp
have a
might
good
be
week.
the default option for Jacksonville this week, sadly.
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, he's not going to have a
Yeah,
good
I
week.
think Shark, Balazs, and probably Kirk. I mean,
Yeah.
I was really disappointed. I thought Kirk would smash last week, and they just really didn't even look his way. So
Yeah.
hopefully this is a bounce back week.
Awesome. All right, from Blue Crew over on YouTube. Needs suggestions, please, and a half point. Needs a receiver and a flex. J.D. McKissick, Cooper Kupp, Chris Godwin, T. Higgins, or Chase Claypool. Says he's already starting Adam Thielen, Alvin Kamara, and Ezekiel Elliott. I don't think we're going to remove anyone from his starting lineup currently.
No.
So let's just start at receiver here. Kupp, Godwin, Higgins, or Claypool. I would think either Higgins. I would argue probably you start T. Higgins and Chase Claypool. Correct, out of that bunch?
Yeah, that's fair, because even with McKissick and his insane target share, he's not doing a ton with it right now. Your touchdown upside is Higgins and Claypool, and that's with me being down on Higgins. So
Yeah, and I'll be honest with you, I'm down on Kamara this week. In 6 career games against Atlanta, he has all of 0 touchdowns.
wow, great stat,
Interesting.
because Atlanta should get torched by him, and
They
So-
should. Absolutely,
You know?
they should. Matt Ryan, over his last 4 games against the Saints, 11 touchdown passes.
My thought behind your, because obviously making the graphic, seeing him as your downside in your confidence plays, I thought that might have been because looking at last year, how did he do without Drew Brees in the lineup? Because that's something to
Well,
monitor
I mean,
as
the
well.
target share went to Michael Thomas.
Okay, so there you
And
go.
that was the
Okay,
big thing.
so-
But even look at Jameis Winston in Tampa. He fixates on one guy.
oh, all the time.
I mean, look how bad Mike Evans was. And that's the thing. It's not even like he was bad last year, but it was like it was boom or bust, right?
Yeah.
Godwin's floor was still decent, but he had, boom games as well. Evans had boom games, but his bust weeks, they were like off the radar. They were so bad. Like they weren't registering even wide receiver 3 range. So if Winston gets down, and again, we're presuming that Winston's going to be a starter, despite what we heard Mike talk about earlier tonight. If Winston's starting, there's a good chance that he's going to fixate on Mike Evans. In his last 3 seasons in Tampa, the running back target share never topped 17% with the Bucs. Winston doesn't dump it off. He doesn't throw to running backs. So unless Alvin Kamara is running 15 yards down the field, that's the only way he's going to see a ton of targets.
Kamara was the RB 18 in the 6 games that Breeze missed in the early part of the season, weeks 2 days.
I mean, if we're talking about Saints weapons without Drew Brees, it's Michael Thomas over Alvin Kamara for me.
Sure. Very true. From Jayhawk, pick 3. DeAndre Swift, Antonio Gibson, Miles Sanders, James Robinson.
Swift and Gibson, absolutely.
Yeah, Bench Robinson.
You sit James Robinson. Sanders doesn't have the best matchup in the world, but you sit James Robinson. He has the worst.
Weather in Cleveland is going to suck again. So
No, it's gonna stay on the ground. So
Yep, exactly. From Victor, Chase Edmonds against Seattle or DJ Moore against Detroit in a PPR. I think the caveat, we've said it, is DJ
But we may
Moore,
not know with Teddy Bridgewater. Edmonds plays Thursday.
yeah, he has to make that decision now.
Facts.
I assume this is in your flex, so if you do decide to go with Edmonds, make sure you get him into your running back slot. I would go with DJ Moore, though.
I would also Chase Edmonds had his highest scoring game this season against
I
the
think I would go
Seahawks,
Edmonds personally.
but he had 7 catches for 87 yards. So do we think he repeats that?
I don't think he
through the air?
repeats it, but I think there's still a decent floor with him. I mean, even if Drake plays, which again, he's been questionable, I feel like every week since he came back from the injury. He's still going to be utilized. It's going to be in a pass catching role. He's still going to get, a few random carries here and there. Seattle's run defense has been okay.
Yep.
But even in that first game, Edmonds had 50 some odd yards rushing.
Something like that.
Yeah. So I still think his floor is solid enough that if you do miss on DJ Moore's upside, you're not broken.
That's fair. No, that's fair. I'll agree with that. So I'll go Edmonds in that instance as well. To Jake, in a Dynasty League, single QB, he has Josh Allen and Joe Burrow at QB.
Nice.
That's a great combo there. Nick Chubb, Kareem Hunt, Josh Kelly, and Kerryon Johnson are his RBs. Sorry about Kerryon Johnson.
Yeah.
Says he's stacked at wide receiver. Would you trade Joe Burrow for Melvin Gordon?
Absolutely not.
Hell no, dude. Hell no. No way.
No.
Burrow.
Take it from
looks
somebody
legit.
that has Melvin Gordon on his dynasty squad. I can't even get somebody to buy him from me.
Yeah, and
You're not moving him.
in a dynasty single QB, you want to hold 2 quarterbacks forever,
Correct.
and you want them to be young. You have your next 10 years, if you play in this league, set at quarterback. You do not make a move with those guys. So
Yeah, you never have to worry about a quarterback again for the next 10 years, roughly. I would, if you're stacked at receiver, I would try and trade a
That's what I was
receiver
gonna
for
say,
a
yeah.
running back.
and you could probably trade your 5th best wide receiver and probably get Melvin Gordon at this point.
Easily.
Yeah, I mean, if that's what you really want is just the depth, then, trade somebody like a Corey Davis.
Yeah, keep in mind,
Somebody in that range.
Browns have already had their bye week. Outside of an injury, you're going to be able to start Chubb and Hunt the rest of the season and just ride them into the
Roll your
playoffs.
wide receiver
So,
in
yeah.
the flex, yeah.
All right. Stop, drop, roll 21. What does he do with Ezekiel Elliott?
Pray for better days.
Yep. Plug him in with RB3 expectations and hope that he's an RB or scores a touchdown. So,
Yeah. I mean, it is a decent matchup this week against Minnesota.
I haven't
but-
scored a touchdown this week. So,
To me, it's matchup based. You play them based on matchups. And Dallas coming off a bye, I've seen a lot of Tony Pollard on the waiver wire. So go grab Pollard.
Yeah,
Because
certainly.
in a league that I traded for Zeke, I just went and got Pollard as a backup in case Zeke decides to throw the season, and then it's Pollard.
Well,
who
the
fills
news
in.
came out today, even coming out of the bye, his hamstring is still tight. So there
Listen,
is still a lot of concern there for Zeke. So
If Pollard is the starter, he's going to be a league winner.
he's going to run his ass off.
Yes, he already runs his ass off right now because honestly, you could look at a lot of teams and say Pollard should probably be the starter or the 1A in a lot of teams' offenses right now with how he runs and how he's looked in general. Following up on green lights, A-Rob for...
Immediately.
Yeah. Would you do Allen Robinson for A.J. Brown, him being on the A.J. Brown side of things? Yes. 100%.
I will say that AJ Brown is very touchdown dependent. If he doesn't score a touchdown, he has not top 9 fantasy points in PPR.
Yeah.
That's true, but
But he doesn't play with Nick Foles.
Yeah, he does it
Yeah.
very often. So
Ryan
there's
Tannehill
that.
over Nick Foles or Deshaun Kaiser, who they just brought in for a workout today. So
Did they really?
Deshaun Kaiser, ladies
Wow.
and gentlemen.
I will say this though: without Taylor Lewan at left tackle, Ryan Tannehill's been outside the top 15 among fantasy quarterbacks.
And he's my downside this week.
Oh, so Ryan Tannehill.
I said in my
needs-
downside notes, Joe, I said this is the game you've been waiting for to just pile on.
Yeah, so Ryan Tannehill, what you're saying, needs the perfect situation to succeed. Interesting. It's almost like he's not good.
Yeah, it's
Strange.
exactly like that.
Strange. Gamer NXC over on YouTube, PPR in a 14-team league. He's 9-1.
Congrats on that,
Yeah.
man.
Can we
That
hopefully
means you
talk?
really avoided injury.
And you have
Time
your
out.
bye clinched already. That's awesome too.
Time out. Can we talk about how he has DeAndre Hopkins, Calvin Ridley, Travis Kelce, Nick Chubb, and Derrick Henry? Can I play in your league?
Yeah.
What? So he has
Get all
Burrow.
those guys.
His starting lineup is Burrow, Henry, Chubb, Hopkins, Ridley, Kelce, Daniel Carlson, Colts defense, Jamison Crowder. What are our thoughts on his playoff
that
hopes?
should be a championship.
That should be a championship. Maybe look for a potential better flex because of Crowder's injury
Words out of my mouth.
history.
And then don't be afraid to stream D. If you're once you get into the playoffs. Right now, since you've locked things up, you don't need to play games. If the Dolphins are out there, they're a great team to grab for the next 3 weeks. But the playoff schedule is rough for a lot of defenses. Once you get in there, don't be afraid to drop the Colts D and pivot to a better matchup. But all in all, you don't have to do shit for the next 3 weeks. So-
Oh yeah, my assumption is you've clinched a playoff spot. I imagine it's
well, they said a
virtually
bye.
impossible.
He has the number 1 seed and
Oh,
the bye.
perfect. Oh, I
So,
didn't even
yeah.
see that. Yeah. So yeah, you're not playing until week 15. So you're just use these next few weeks to scout players essentially.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, essentially. Michael says he's going to ask it every week. Big Ben or Lamar?
I think both have a good matchup this week, honestly.
I think this week I would lean Ben Roethlisberger against.
I want to hit one more thing for Gamer. This just clicked for me. If I'm reading your question right and you have the number 1 seed clinched, if there's no advantage to total points, drop Carlson and sign more depth at like running back. Run out no kicker for these next 3 weeks because these games don't matter to you. If you have the number 1 seed clinched already, drop your kicker and go get somebody else that if someone does get hurt, you already have a player on your roster.
Good call.
Smart.
Very good call. But Josh, you're saying I have Big Ben just because I think it's a better matchup against the Jags.
I mean,
look at
with
that.
Lamar, it's all about you're going to have a rushing floor, right? I mean, Tennessee's
Definitely.
defense sucks. We know that, but they're streaky, right? And Vrabel, he can scheme just like Bill Belichick can in the sense that if he can take away a weapon if need be.
Correct.
And with Big Ben, for me, this is all about is James Conner going to be effective? If James Conner can run the football, Big Ben's not going to throw.
Yeah.
But the last couple of weeks, James Conner has not been able to run the football again. Very good matchups. So if they stuff Conner again, then Roethlisberger is going to throw 45 times, and absolutely he's a top 5 play.
Right now, my projections, they're at 2 and 3. Lamar's at 2, so Lamar.
There you go. So there's your
Yeah,
answer.
I think this week is one of those weeks where I don't think there's a wrong answer between the two.
I agree.
Agreed. All right. Tobaloba, I apologize for mispronouncing your name, but that's my guess.
Awesome name.
Love it. Absolutely love it. Chase Edmonds, Michael Pittman, Jerry Jeudy, Antonio Brown, Damian Harris. Pick one.
Pick one.
Damian Harris.
Yeah.
I think a lot depends whether it's PPR or standard, if I'm being honest. Harris
Damian
offers 0 upside.
Harris.
Well, unless he scores a touchdown, he's outside the top 20.
Damian Harris. Very simple.
It is a good matchup, and I love Harris this week, so I'm not against that.
So I'll add this in here. He says he's also wondering he's starting Hyde over Edmonds and Harris.
Ew,
so
no,
let's play this. Put in Damian Harris over Carlos Hyde.
Absolutely.
And then who would you pick out of the rest? Chase Edmonds, Michael Pittman, Jerry Jeudy, Antonio Brown.
I think I'd go Pittman.
I was going to say, who
argue
did the Colts
Pittman.
play this week?
Green Bay.
Green Bay.
Ooh.
I would argue
Alexander's
Michael
been
Pittman
in and
as well.
out of the lineup, too. I don't
And even if he's
that.
in, I think he gets T.Y. Hilton. I think
he
Pittman's
does
still
as
gonna
well.
get it.
Also, Jaheir Alexander is, again, overrated. There's not a single
Joe,
corner.
you hate every corner in the entire NFL. Let's just get that out of the way.
Right, I'm going to say this right now. There's not a single corner in the NFL right now I would trust to lock down anybody except Patrick Peterson. Not a single corner right now. This year, the DBs have looked terrible. The league leader in interceptions, J.C. Jackson, gets burned on every play where he doesn't intercept the football.
Well, and that's the thing.
That
Most
happens, though, it's
corners that lead the league in
risk
interception,
reward.
they're risk reward. I mean, it's the same thing like with Asante Samuel way back
I'm not
when.
even saying you're wrong, Joe, because the rules are such that corners are at
Yeah,
such
exactly.
a disadvantage.
Exactly.
But they're not all overrated. Literally, someone has to be the best corner in the NFL. They still might suck in your eyes, but they're
Patrick Peterson. Patrick Peterson's the best corner in the NFL. It
Diggs
is
showed you
Patrick
your best
Peterson
corner in the NFL, didn't you?
and nobody else. It's nobody else. It's Patrick Peterson and nobody else. Michael Pittman, I think would be the guy.
Pittman's seeing a ton of targets lately. I think I had written about this early in the year. It was going to take Rivers a little while to see Pittman as last year's Mike Williams instead of rookie year's Mike Williams, and he's seeing that now. And you're going to start seeing Pittman on more deep routes. You're going to start seeing more balls to him, especially since they don't want to throw to Jonathan Taylor at all or their tight ends this week. Green Bay is actually the number one team against the tight end. They took the crown last week. So I think a big week for Pittman.
I think the easiest way to answer this question, floor is Harris, upside is Pittman.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. Yep.
But that's assuming you're putting Edmonds. I thought we were putting Harrison over Hyde, whatever.
Harrison over Hyde, and then Pittman.
Yeah.
Yeah. ISO Uzi Vert. Thanks for joining. As always, love the profile picture of Lil Uzi Vert. Not a fan of his music, but the profile picture's sick. Pick one for a flex. Deontay Johnson, DJ Moore, Brandon Cooks. We all know Josh's answer.
Forever and always, Deontay Johnson.
I'll agree. I'll agree on that as well. I think Deontay Johnson.
Any buy into the Brandon Cooks revenge game?
Not
All
this
right.
week.
No.
Not this week.
No.
I would go Deontay.
I mean,
Johnson as well.
Deshaun's my downside quarterback this week, so
Interesting. Okay.
Adding into that as well, he says Kenyon Drake or Ronald Jones at RB2. Anyone besides
go
Kenyon
Rojo.
Drake. Yeah,
Yeah,
Ronald
go Rojo.
Jones. Yep. Anyone besides Kenyon Drake.
Yep.
McSweet, does he trade Tyreek Hill for Russell Wilson and Chase Claypool?
to be fair, he came in later and said his quarterbacks are Carson Wentz and Tua Tagovailoa.
Yes, immediately make that trade.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure his other receiver in this league is DK
Is
Metcalf.
DK. So yeah, stacking Wilson with DK would be huge.
Yeah, and I love Tyreek, but Tyreek is still boomer bust. Let's not pretend. He's been very hot lately. All that means is the cold is probably ready to come. You might be moving him at the perfect time. That is a great trade.
Yep. From Victor, half point need 2 running backs. It is Nick Chubb against the Philadelphia Eagles, Kalen Ballage against the Jets, or Ronald Jones against the Rams.
I've actually seen a lot of stats that Ronald Jones is a better play than I think he is this week, so I'm saying bench Ballage.
Yeah. I mean, there's no. I don't care what the matchup is. You're not benching Nick Chubb.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, to me it's Nick Chubb and Kalen Ballage. But I wouldn't be opposed to starting Ronald Jones.
Yeah, I mean, the biggest issue with Rojo is you just never know when Arians is going to be like right.
Exactly.
And the biggest issue with Kalen Ballage is that he's Kalen Ballage.
It's true.
No,
I was shocked, though, this week. Rojo had that fumble, and they did not shy away from it. I thought that was a career killer right there.
Yeah, no, I completely agree there. From another one, just a gamer just following up on that, he says the reason he's clinched the 1 seed is because 2nd through 6th are 6 and 4,
That's
and
awesome.
only 6 teams make the playoffs.
Yeah. If you wanna have a big balls move, go ahead and cut your kicker. Go get some depth. Take these 3 L's if you need to. The only way I wouldn't do that is if there's any way you could tie, and it's going to come down to total points. But I personally would drop my kicker and get depth at this point.
Love it. From Michael, Jarvis Landry or Robbie Anderson?
Robbie Anderson. I do not like Landry at all this week.
Yeah. We've seen what the weather in Cleveland can do to both teams' passing games. So go ahead and give me Robbie Anderson.
Yeah, Robbie Anderson.
Super cheap on FanDuel, by the way, for Robbie Anderson. I was a little shocked by that.
On FanDuel, where
Yeah.
the prices are overrated. Wow.
Well,
so I can only
don't
imagine-
get me wrong. I know the prices are weird on FanDuel. They're way higher, but I'm just going by basis of wide receiver. I had to scroll down quite far to find Robbie Anderson.
Wow. So that means he's like dirt cheap on DraftKings then.
Yeah.
And I saw Uzi Vert saying that no way Pat Pete's the best corner this year, saying Jalen Ramsey's been unreal. Yeah, watch
Don't
the
get
tape.
him started, Uzi.
Watch-
Don't get him started.
Watch the tape, Uzi. Don't look at the stats. Stats show Jay Cutler's like a top 20 NFL quarterback of all time, and we all know
I
that's
will
what's going on.
say, in his defense, Ramsey has been a lockdown corner this year. He's only allowed 2 touchdowns. Both have come in the red zone. One was to a tight end. One was to Stephon Diggs. Maybe the pass rush from Aaron Donald and Leonard Floyd has a lot to do with that. I'm sure that's how good secondaries work a lot of the times. But the Rams as a unit have allowed the fewest passing touchdowns this season. There's something to be said about that. Just saying.
Yeah.
They've played the NFC East 4 times. So that definitely adds.
I
to
mean,
it.
you can't help what you play. I mean, obviously, the rest of the season's going to play out. I mean, they shut down Russell Wilson last week.
Yeah, sure. I mean, the secondary did
You
it.
know,
the
so-
defensive line. Actually, the Seahawks offensive line shut down their own team. That's essentially what happened. And I know everyone knows I am the biggest Aaron Donald fan on the face of this planet. Not taking away from him, but wow, is that Seahawks offensive line bad? And ISO adds in Jay Cutler's forever a dog. Dude, Jay Cutler's arguably the worst quarterback of all time. Like, I would rather start Nathan Peterman over Jay Cutler to potentially win the Super Bowl.
Still my favorite play ever on that diversion play where he straight up did not move.
he just turned.
Yep.
What's up? All right.
Greatest play.
We're coming up here on 75 minutes. Let's fly through these here, Ryan. Your stream of the week, Kirk Cousins, home against the Cowboys.
Yeah, he was my stream of the week in week 6. He balled out that week. Has thrown a touchdown in each of his last 6 games, which is more than we can say for Jared Goff, who I hate now.
Ryan, join the club. I've hated Jared Goff for the last 3 years. So you're late to the party, buddy.
Yeah, Dallas allows the 10th most fantasy points to quarterbacks. Like I said, I'm going to fly through these. Cousins is available in over 60% of leagues on Yahoo, over 80% on ESPN.
Logan Thomas, Cincinnati.
My man Logan Thomas, 3rd time as the stream of the week at tight end. He's hit both times. As I mentioned, he's the 3rd option in an offense that they don't throw a ton, but when they do throw, it's going to one of 3 guys, which is a great target volume. 11th most targets amongst tight ends on the season, but he is only the tight end 16. But like Josh brought up, me and Josh, I think I might accidentally did half PPR. I have him as the tight end 5 since week 6, but regardless, he's a top 10 tight end since week 6. That's with a week 8 bye. Logan Thomas shouldn't be available in over 70% of leagues. He should be a lot of teams starting tight end. He's a great stream this week.
Cleveland Browns against the NFC East leading and current number 4 seed in the NFC Conference.
Yep.
Philadelphia Eagles.
Yep. This is in the show notes I put against Josh's Eagles.
Yes.
So my big thing here is the thing I'm noticing a lot, and for those that don't know, I do defense and special teams for the Fantasy Footballer, so I spend a lot of time looking into this. Sacks and turnovers are where teams are going to make their points. We actually had 3 teams score a touchdown in week 10 on defense. Not one of them finished as a top 3 defense. It's all about sacks and turnovers. The Browns have recorded a sack in every game this season. The Eagles have given up the most sacks in the NFL. It's a streaming match made in heaven. The Browns defense has played decent, not great. They're the defense 14th on the year, but they rank 10th in sacks, and that's where Philly's going to struggle. And if it's a bad weather game, that's where you're going to see turnovers come into play. Browns are available in over 50% of leagues, both platforms.
All right. Moving on to my kicker of the week. Plain and simple, don't listen to me anymore. Because clearly, I don't know what the hell I'm doing. Linda right now is live with Mike on Fantasy Football Confidential. Just go listen to her.
9 o'clock.
9 o'clock. I'm sorry, 9 o'clock.
Yeah,
9 o'clock.
she's not with Mike. Mike and Chase are together right now on
correct. Sorry,
Intervention.
have that backwards.
That's
check out
all
Linda.
friends of the show.
Yeah, all friends of the show. Check out Linda in 40 minutes, because she'll know for some reason. I can't catch a break. Every single kicker I've picked, the week after they've been a top 10 kicker. What? Like, what is happening?
So maybe you should look at more than just previous week stats.
Or you should just double up.
Josh,
I will say I picked up Tyler Bass in a couple leagues. I had a home run on those last week. So.
Bass has been money. He hit 250-plus yarders, I think. I'm going with Kaimi Fairbairn against the Patriots. I don't know. I have no reasoning. Anymore. He's in a dome. There's your answer. He's in a dome. There's your answer. You don't have to worry about weather. You just have to worry about if he's accurate or not. So Kaimi Fairbairn against the Patriots.
Get him.
And the kicker doesn't matter. The blurred lines matters. I've been killing
So we're just
it.
going to remove the kicker segment from the show?
Yeah. Actually, no. We need the kicker segment to keep me humble.
That's right.
But blurred lines 7-4-1 this season. We went 1-1 last week. I gave you the bonus line of the Ravens -7. What I neglected to think is that Lamar Jackson isn't an actual NFL quarterback, so I probably shouldn't have bet on the Ravens. But the Saints killed it. And I know where I bet, the Saints were even money at +10 because the line moved because so many people had bet on the 49ers, I think, to cover. So if you bet the same amount, I know the Ravens were -110 and the Saints were +100. So you're at least even if you listened to me last week. So this week going in here, Ryan already talked about their defense. I have Cleveland -3.5 against the Philadelphia Eagles. This shocked me going through all the games. Pro Football Focus has Philadelphia at a 54% chance to cover the spread.
Not on the road.
Compared to Cleveland's 45% chance to cover the spread. And I know it doesn't sound like a drastic difference, but that is huge when it comes to the percentages if you look at Pro Football Focus.
Well, yeah, because if you think about it, the spread is supposed to even the playing field. So you're talking a 5% swing.
That's huge. Like, that is huge. This is essentially saying because for those that are new to betting, the home team automatically gets a 3-point bump because they're at home. That's simple. So this is saying on a neutral site, this is a pick'em. Josh, you watch the Eagles more than anybody here.
Oh, there's no way they're winning this game.
Yeah, well, it's not even that.
They could beat the freaking Giants last week. You
in
kidding
New
me?
York.
There's
In
no
New
way.
York. So that I was shocked when I saw this, and I was going through just breaking down. Carson Wentz and Baker Mayfield, to me, same person right now.
Yep.
It's a wash. They're the same person. Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt over Miles Sanders and Boston Scott.
Easy.
Landry and Higgins.
Real quick before you move on, fun stat about this one. When Chubb went out in week 5, up until when he came back last week, the Browns averaged less than 100 rushing yards per game with Kareem Hunt as the lead back. In all the games with Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt, they've averaged over 200 rushing yards per game.
It's ridiculous.
That's how good this rushing attack is with Nick Chubb in the backfield.
They're 2 Pro Bowl running backs.
Yeah.
We know what Kareem Hunt was, and we know why he was released by the Chiefs, so no one denies the skill. Jarvis Landry, Rashad Higgins, I just call it a wash with Fulgham and Rager because we haven't seen enough of them. I just call it a wash at that point.
That's a stretch, but
Ryan.
Historically speaking, Landry is better than all of them. This year, not so much.
Jalen Rager is my god right now, I will not say these bad words.
Let me just okay. Oh yeah, 4 for 47, wide receiver 47 last week. Okay,
He's getting there. He's getting warmed up.
I have Dallas Goedert over Austin Hooper. I don't think there's any arguments from the crowd here. I have the Browns offensive line being better than the Eagles offensive line.
Hands down.
I have the Browns defense being better than
By the way,
Eagles
Jack
defense.
Conklin may be out this week.
Yeah, I saw that.
Eagles offensive lines are Browns offensive line.
No, I know. I'm just saying the Eagles do have a good pass rush, so that
sure.
could play
That definitely is gonna play a factor. The Browns defense over the Eagles defense, although I think it's a lot closer than some people might think. And Kevin Stefanski over Doug Peterson this year. That's not even a question. That's not even a question.
Yeah.
So I'm looking at this.
Awful.
If Philadelphia is only winning the tight end battle, I'll bet the house on Cleveland at that point.
I don't know much about the wind, but 55% chance of rain as of right now for that.
Oh,
game.
I actually looked at this. Hang on.
So all right, so
Let's
let's play this let's assume the weather's bad. Who would you trust? The Browns offensive line, Chubb and Hunt, or the Eagles' offensive line and Miles Sanders?
100% the Browns.
That's what I'm saying. It's like that the Browns should win this by easily more than a field goal.
So when I looked at the weather on Tuesday, there was a 50% chance of rain during this game for Sunday with 10 to 20 mile an hour winds. I wouldn't worry so much about the wind as I would the rain, especially with somebody like Carson, who has had issues with fumbles lately.
That's not saying, yeah, I think the rain is going to lead to turnovers in this one as well.
Yeah.
Correct. Yep. All right, last question here before we wrap up. Michael, would you play Tyreek Hill in DFS? My guess is he's extremely
I think you might be talking
expensive.
about Taysom Hill.
Yeah,
Oh.
I'd say he had to have been with the LOL at the end. Because
Oh,
you're
yes.
obviously
No, that
playing
makes
Tyreek.
sense. So,
Only
Michael,
if you can put him in at tight end.
correct. Yeah, do not play him at quarterback. Only if you can play him at tight end. Michael, I think you've been listening the whole show, so you know our reasoning on Taysom Hill. But yeah, I have Hill as an upside at the tight end position, not as a quarterback. So there's your caveat there. So just proceed with caution with Taysom Hill. Make sure he's in your tight end spot. All right, that is everything we have here for this week. Of course, we will be back on Saturday with our Start Sit Different Day, 11 a.m. Eastern, everywhere you're watching right now besides Twitch. So be sure if you're on Twitch, probably just go to YouTube. That's probably the next best spot for you. But if not, Periscope, Twitter, and Facebook Live. Next week, holiday week, baby, no show. We are not going to hop on the show. I'm traveling back home.
And this is something that we've done every year, guys.
Every single year.
I want to preface that. It's Thanksgiving week. It's hands down my favorite holiday of the year, and I value that. I know this is Wednesday, but again, Joe, you're traveling. I don't want to because if you miss the show, it's literally just going to be me and Ryan, and nobody wants to hear that.
Yeah.
Because there's no bell going off in the background, because Ryan and I don't argue the way that you and I do.
Huge news.
I'm the
Taysom Hill is tight end eligible on FanDuel. $4,500, which is basically bottom price on a tight end.
Get him. Oh, go get him if you're on FanDuel. Also, shout out Jake. Thanks for the help, liked and sub. Appreciate you, Jake. That's
Thanks,
amazing.
Jake.
Awesome. Oh God, smash start on FanDuel, Taysom Hill.
You got to
No
get him into
doubt.
at least one lineup. I'm worried his ownership percentage.
Yeah, the
is
ownership
gonna be
percentage
high.
is going to be high. Yeah,
But
Smash
head
him.
to head,
tight end's such a wasteland. Like, why wouldn't you start him?
1v1, he's an interesting play though.
Yeah, this is true.
Smash start Taysom Hill. Ooh, baby. I don't play on FanDuel, so I won't play him, but that's big. That is huge. So, yes, there's not going to be a show next Wednesday, but don't worry, we'll be back on Saturday. So, all those start-sit questions, yes, we understand there are 6 teams playing on Thanksgiving. If you have questions, our DMs on
Hit
Twitter,
us on Twitter. Absolutely.
Anywhere. We're going to answer those Thursday questions. And then, of course, on Saturday, we will still do our Start Sit Different Day. And then, of course, on Sunday, I'm there for last-minute questions if you need them. I don't travel home until Sunday afternoon, so I'll be able to sit in front of the TV for you for about a couple hours before and be able to get that going for you.
I was going to say, Joe, if you want to do an IG Live on Thursday before Thanksgiving.
There's maybe we'll see. We'll see if I do. Maybe
Thursday
I'll go
before the Thanksgiving game
Yeah.
starts. Let me rephrase that.
go follow us on Instagram. Maybe I'll do a quick Instagram Live before the games on Thanksgiving and before we start stuffing our faces with turkey. So yeah, I'll probably do that next week. So no show next week on Wednesday. Join us again in 2 weeks. We do not know who's going to be on the show, but again, you'll see us this Saturday as well as next Saturday, the Saturday after Thanksgiving and the Saturday after Black Friday. So that's the next time you'll be able to catch us as well. Thank you, especially Jake, for the comments and the sub.
Yes.
Subscribe on YouTube, guys. We greatly appreciate it. We want to get that road to 100 subs as quickly as possible. Our goal is to get it before the end of the fantasy football season
Then we
this
can
year.
personalize it.
Yes, so we can personalize it, make it even
Get
better
our
for you
own
guys.
URL.
For the One Hudsonian, for the Fantasy 5, for Joe_Zolo, you can follow Club Fantasy on
Shout out
Facebook,
Mike,
Twitter,
man.
and Instagram at Club Fantasy FFL. The URL is clubfantasyffl.com. You can check out Mike Fayella's show right now.
Yes.
The fantasy football,
Intervention.
FF_intervention. intervention.
Thank
His
you, FF.
handle at Daddy's Home FF.
Correct. Thank you. I was thinking of the show, but that is currently live right now. You can go check it out on their Periscope, Twitter, YouTube, wherever you want to watch it. It's probably the same places minus Twitch, so you can go check them out there. They are awesome. And then at 9 o'clock Eastern, you can check out Fantasy Football Confidential with friends of the show, Troy King and Linda Godfrey. So be sure to check them out there as well. Always remember, defense wins championships, offense wins fantasy football. We will not see you next week. Haha, tricked ya. Happy Thanksgiving. Enjoy time with your family if you're able to do that. But we will be back this Saturday and next Saturday. Next Saturday. Be sure to join us then for Start Sit Different Day, hosted by the one, the only, the lovely Faith Enos. We will see you on